I love it when companies combine features of a product in ways that are unexpected and delightful. And if you are a teacher, speaker, contractor, or maybe even cat lover, the Olight Arkfeld is going to be a flashlight you want to check out. Olight sent me their new Arkfeld flashlight. And you can see that it's got a very unique flashlight shape. You don't see square flashlights much in the flashlight world. And not only is it just kind of neat to hold and look at, but with these flat sides, you find that it doesn't want to roll around, it stays put. I love the fact that the shape of it kind of lends itself to its features as well. What I mean by that is they wanted to put the magnetic charging on here, the one that Olight uses on the majority of its modern flashlights, and notice that the base is indeed wide enough for that, but then it's got this kind of cutout to allow the clip to work, and there's definitely enough space there for your pocket without, having to jam it in there too much. This is a really good clip, by the way. I've been using it, and it's just springy enough, but just tight enough. I really like it. Here's what comes in the box. You get your flashlight, you get the charging cable, you get a manual, and then, well, the box. And the charging cable won't work on its own. You're going to need a USB port, but this is the charging cable that Olight uses on a majority of its lights right now, and it's called the MCC, and you can see that it charges at 1 amp all the way up to 2 amps, depending on the port you plug it into. I love the charging cable. I really do. It's not just a matter of not having to remove the battery, which you can't. The battery is built in, it's sealed, it's proprietary. But it's the fact that, it's just at night, you just, and then it's charging. In fact, let's take a look at that really quickly. Let me go ahead and plug in this to a USB port off screen, and you can see that there is a little green light here that shows that it's got power. And when it should turn red and then start charging. Now, mine didn't turn red because of the fact that it's fully charged right now for this review. I can trick it by sagging the battery, so let me go to turbo really quickly here, and you can see it just turned red, and it is now charging the battery. Now, of course, it's going to turn green any moment because it is fully charged. Let's take a good look at the button interface here. You've got this interesting little dial, and let's get a side view of that. And this dial here has a button that isn't sticking out at all. Well, maybe just a hair, but it's pretty flat. And you have to push in pretty good to get it operate. So, there's a little bit of travel before, see, I'm pushing in a little bit, and then when you get all the way in, it clicks. So I don't think there's going to be any accidental activation in your pocket, but once you get to the UI section, there is a electronic lockout as well. And this right here has two little nubs on it, and if you push it, it goes to one side or the other, and you can see there's little indicators for flashlight mode and laser mode. And that is really the big deal about this product, is that it is a flashlight and a laser in one. And that's where, I gave you that short list at the intro, that if you're a teacher or a contractor or something like that, having a laser pointer can be really useful. I know that I've taught some theater classes in a performing arts center, and you're trying to explain to the students which light to move and where you want it, and sometimes words just fail you, and you got to just, click on that laser pointer and just say, this light, move it over there, right? You do one of those. Now, let's take a look at the UI really quickly. So, first off, anytime you make a button press here, it's going to light up the battery indicator. This is something that Olight has on a lot of their lights, and I love it. No guesswork, you know what it is. Each little bar is 25%, so 4 bars, 100% charge. When it's in flashlight mode, it's a pretty easy operation. You click it, and it turns on at a rate. There's 3 rates, low, medium, and high. There's also hidden moonlight and turbo we're going to get to, but in the main set, medium, low, and high, low, medium, and high. And when you press and hold, it cycles between them from lowest to highest. Okay? So here we're in low, and from any point, you can turn it off and then turn it back on. The last mode is memorized. So if I go to high now and turn it off, when I turn it back on, we're going to get high again. From off, if you press and hold, you're going to get the ultra low moonlight mode, which is barely registering on my camera here. We're going to get lumen ratings of that in a moment. One of the things I like about this moonlight mode is they did it properly in that you can leave the moonlight mode by just pressing and holding, and then you're now in the main cycle and you can go through low, medium, high. And let's say you're on high. Okay, let me put on high, turn it off. Well, if I was to turn it back on, I would return to high because of the mode memory. But one thing I like is you press and hold and you get into that moonlight mode. When you press and hold again, you always go to low. You don't return back to high. That wouldn't make much sense. Now, when you're in the main cycle here, double tap takes you to turbo. And a double tap again will return you back to your previous mode, which is perfect. A triple tap will give you strobe, and that will work from off as well. So I'm off right now. If I go 1, 2, 3, I'm going to get strobe. The Olight Arkfeld has 2 hidden modes that really set it apart from other lights that I've used. It has an electronic lockout, and it also has a sunset timer. So let's take a look at both. The electronic lockout works like this. So when the light is just able to be turned on, if you press and hold from off, press and hold, you'll see the lights come up and then go back down. And when that happens, it is now electronically locked out, which is signaled by the fact that when I press it, one red light comes on. I love lights that confirm that they're locked out so you're not confused as to whether it's dead, the battery that is, or something like that. Now to get back out of it, you just press and hold until you see the green lights light back up, and now flashlight operation has resumed. Now the other special mode it has is sunset timer. That means you can turn the light on, use it as a bedside table light, and it'll turn off automatically. Oh, what a great feature. I wish all flashlights had this. Now, you turn it on, and you can put it to whichever mode you want. Now, you're going to double tap, but instead of just double tapping to go to turbo, you're going to double tap and hold. So watch. I go click, tap. And you see that little one flash it did? That now signifies that this will be on for 3 minutes, and then it'll turn itself off. Now, there's also a 9-minute timer. Now, to do that, you would tap and hold again and wait for 2 flashes. Tap, hold, flash, flash. And when you let go, this is now a 9-minute sleep timer. Now, whatever sleep timer you set, when you go to turn that sleep timer back on, so I just turned it off so the sleep timer would be canceled, but let me go to reenact that sleep timer. So I'll go tap, hold. You can see there's 2 flashes again. That's because it memorizes the sleep timer amount you prefer, whether it's 3 or 9 minutes. Now, if I want to get back to 3 minutes, then I will just, the sleep timer is active right now, right? So while it's active, I click hold, I'll get the 1 flash, and now I'm set to 3 minutes again. But the Arkfeld isn't just a flashlight. It has a class 1 laser built into it for pointing out objects. I think Olight made a great decision putting a green low power laser into this flashlight. Let me show you what I mean by that. First off, let's take a kind of inexpensive, this is probably about a $15 green laser off eBay. And these lasers claim to be safe limits, which should be under 5 milliwatts, and they are not. They are 50 to 100 milliwatts, and that could be very dangerous to your eye if it were to strike you in the eyeball. So let's take a look at that. You can see that the laser point is super bright, and there's a lot of reflection coming off. And this just would not be safe or suitable for pointing at a display or, a chalkboard or something like that. Whereas the laser included in the Arkfeld, let me make sure I'm in laser mode, is very well defined, and it's going to be safe. And I'm going to try and prove that right now. So let's take a look at these 3 lasers that I got here. Here's a cheap $20 laser that you shouldn't get off eBay if you want to use it around people because it could be dangerous. Here is a high-powered 1 watt laser from J Lasers. I did a review about their blue laser, and this is a green laser that I'm going to do a review about shortly. Let me show you just really quickly on my laser power meter what's going on. Remember, guys, if you're using high-powered lasers like these two, always use eye protection. So I'll put these on my eyeballs for stray reflections. And let me start with the eBay laser, and you can see as it gets the rating there that this thing is going to be about 100 and something milliwatts, clearly over the safe limit. The FDA says 5 milliwatts and under. Okay, so 110, pretty strong laser. This one is ridiculous. This one is so dangerous. Here we go. And let's let it settle. You can see this thing is going to be over 1 watt. This would be instant eye damage if this were to hit you or strike you in the eye. Now, the bottom here is a peak, right? PK, peak. And the top is the instantaneous reading. Now, let me clear that. And here's something that's interesting. There we go. Let me clear it once it gets to 0. There we go. The Arkfeld, there's some ratings in the manual. I think it says less than 29 milliwatts or something like that. But here's what's interesting. When I hit my LPM here, I don't get any rating at all. Now, that doesn't mean that there's just no output here. It just means that my thermal pile is not reacting to it. I do have a white thermal pile here instead of a black one, and I believe it's just not sensitive in the low ranges. I have rated lasers that were 20 milliwatts or less, but this thing is calibrated more for the powerful lasers. So that's actually a good sign. I like that. If I'm going to use this in a classroom and I don't want to get sued, this is the one to use, because this theoretically could strike somebody in the eye momentarily and not cause any damage. Hey, buddy, you want a little laser? Yeah? While you watch me torture my cat, I don't know, play with my cat with a laser, you be the judge. I just want to remind you guys that this channel is a labor of love. It is not my day job. And so any bones you can throw my way really help. There is a coupon code for the Arkfeld on screen now, as well as affiliate links in the description of the video. I implore you to use them. It really helps me out. Thank you, guys. For cats and babies alike. I think the cat likes it less than the baby. Let's talk about runtimes. While I didn't do any testing myself, Olight has some runtimes here that my friend Zero Air did test and found were pretty accurate. So one of the striking features about this light is that it can be set to turbo, which will run for 4 minutes at 1,000 lumens. Then it steps down to high, which is 300 lumens, and it'll run for an additional 2 hours. That's a lot of light in a very small package. Okay, let's do a quick size comparison with the Arkfeld. Here is a Hank KR4. Here's an Olight Warrior 3S, just to give you an idea of size comparison. So it is a easy to carry light. You can see it's considerably thinner than this 18650 light and a lot smaller than this 21700 light. So one of the things I really like about it is even though it's a little bit longer than some of the lights I usually carry, and it's a little bit thinner, but it's on the profile definitely thinner, and it just feels really great in my hand and in my pocket. So it's got a great form factor. Let's take a look at its lumens. Let's do the 3 main modes first. We'll start at low, and low gives us about 15 lumens. Medium is giving us 60 lumens. High is giving us, it's off my range here, is giving us 300 lumens. And I also want to point out how steady that 300 is. So there's some good regulation here. There's no PWM noticeable to my eye or to any of my equipment. Now we got 2 hidden modes, right? We got moonlight, and we also have turbo. So let me go back to my sensitive mode here, and let me press and hold. And Moonlight is sub-lumen. Okay, so it's 9/10 of a lumen. That's perfect. Oh, well, at least just say I like Moonlight to be under 1 lumen, and it is, so that's a win. Now if I double tap, matter range, and there we go. 950 lumens at start, and notice that it's dropping just a little, okay? So I'll let this run for a bit, and we'll see what it is at 30 seconds. Okay, we're already about 20 seconds in. And you can see that, there you go. So the light is claimed to be 1,000 lumens, and I'm getting 930, 935 lumens at 30 seconds. No problem. All right, we're going to measure the tint of this light. Now, I picked up the neutral white 4,000 to 5,000 K temperature. So that's the correlated color temperature and in Kelvin. And trust me, do yourself a favor, do the world a favor by buying this light in that neutral white. And the reason why is Olight for so long has felt that people wanted cool lights, and those cooler temperatures just aren't as pleasing to the eye. So if you go pick up a neutral white, maybe they'll realize that this brand new kind of leaf they've overturned where they're starting to offer things in neutral white was a good idea, and maybe they'll do it with the rest of their line. So there's some kind of vested interest in it for the whole community if people pick them up in those tints. Let's take a look at, let me kill or at least turn down my video lights here. There we go, trim down a bit. So sorry it's getting dark here, but I don't want it to spoil the reading. So let's start with Moonlight here. And it's going to take a little while to read. There we go. So you can see that we're above BBL by 71 points, and it's about 4,600 K. Now let me turn it on and make sure I go to low. And at low, we're getting ourselves similar readings. Let's go to high. A little cooler. It's dropping closer to BBL. And finally, let's do turbo. And it gets up to 4,800 on my sample and 0.29 above BBL. And guys, that's pretty pleasing. 0.29 is not an issue. So while I'd love this light to be right on the BBL, dead neutral, it is not distractingly green. It is a kind of low CRI. I mean, if you want to call it that, because it's 71 RA, and the R9 is suffering. But in use, I find it plenty fine. And there is the R1 through 15 values. All right, let's do some beam shots with the Olight Arkfeld. And for comparison, we will also have a KR4 quad, and we're going to have an Olight Warrior 3S that I actually emitter swapped. So this originally had a 6,000, 7,000 color temperature emitter in it. I've now got a 4,500 in it. Let's start with the KR4, and this isn't a fair comparison because this KR4 has 4 emitters. It's a much bigger light, and it's 2,000 lumens. It's double the lumens, but let's take a look what we have here. Let me lock the focus. The exposure is locked at 5,000 K, and the white balance is, that is, and the exposure locked as well. Let me make sure I'm all the way up. There we go. So this is what a typical EDC would do for you. And you can see that the KR4, which is like the D4V2 by Hank, is very floody. This is also similar to the triples I have, the custom triples. They're floody as well. Now let's take a look at the Arkfeld, and I'm going to go straight to turbo. And you can see it is definitely holding up. Okay, the fact that it's half the lumens is apparent, but for a little tiny light, man, this thing is doing a great job. Okay, and let's take a look at it compared to the Olight Warrior, which is a much bigger light. Let's put the Olight Warrior at medium. So there's medium. One of the things that is interesting about the Olight Warrior is it's got such a defined hotspot, and there's turbo. Okay, so that's turbo for the Olight Warrior. And I want to take the camera and tilt it down a little bit and show you something I noticed about the beam shape. So here we have the Arkfeld on the left here, and you can see the hot spot is about this big, and then there's a little bit of spill. And let me go at medium level here with the Warrior, and you can see that the hot spots seem kind of similar up close, all right? But what's interesting about it is the cone of light that comes out of the Arkfeld is floodier. And that's evidenced by the fact that if I tilt up a little bit and if I hit down range a little bit, so let's see here, here's at the same medium for the Warrior. Let's go to high, and you can see that the hotspot here, this hotspot is much bigger than this one is. So there's definitely a little bit more of a cone going on. I don't find this too floody because it's actually less floody than my other EDC light here, which is the Care 4. You can see how this thing lights up practically the whole street. So I find this a good balance. I mean, for an EDC light, I like this. Not often does a light come along that I kind of feel like was made for me, but I didn't know that Olight was going to combine a laser and a flashlight in this fashion, and when they sent it to me, I was so ecstatic because in my day job, I'm actually an educator, and having a laser and kind of a very lightweight, easy to charge EDC is just perfect. I often bring a light to work. I carry a light every day, and I am found kind of fumbling with a light and pulling a battery out and sticking it in a little charger I have on my desk. But having this little magnetic puck and being able to just, and by the way, my desk at my site has little USB ports on the side, so I'll just plug this straight in there and then and that's perfect. So I love this light, and I think that a lot of people out there are going to find utility in having a laser pointer and a flashlight in a very slim, easy to carry package like the Olight Arkfeld. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next review.